Oh, wow, hey guys, how you doing? All right, we're fucking back, boys. We're back with a brand new track. This video is pretty simple, it's pretty easy. This video is called 10 Epic Champions to help you progress in Hydra. All right? And or your money back, which I'm broke as fuck, so you ain't getting anything out of me. But hey, let's just kind of get into it. Um, First one, who is a personal favorite of mine, right here, Stag Knight. Stag Knight is an amazing champion. He's going to help you out in all areas of the game, period. No matter what. Bet your money on it. Again, he has two abilities. He has an A1 and A2 and a passive. His A1 will attack an enemy 2 times each hit. When booked, will have a 50% chance of placing decreased speed. Big version. Very good ability. His A2 books down to a 3-turn cooldown. Attacks all enemies and books up to 100% chance of giving them decreased defense and decreased attack for 2 turns. Okay? Oh, excuse me. And his passive, Lead the Pack, places an increased accuracy buff on an ally for a turn each time the ally has a debuff resisted by an enemy. When he came out, this was practically unheard of. I want to say he was the first champion to have this kind of increased accuracy buff. He came in a battle pass that Plarium has not done since. They've done like the equipment ones, which are very good. Resource wise, like if you want to spend money on this game, buy the gem pack, buy your monthly shard pack, and then buy the battle pass for the equipment. That's it. They I don't understand it. So their whole thing always on the battle pass was that it didn't succeed. It failed. But everyone in the community and raid was like, this is the best thing they've ever done. Ever. And they're just never gonna do it again. It was like the gates opened up to the afterlife and you got a glimpse of it, you're like, oh, and then they just shut it. Like, yeah, oops, sorry, don't look at the man behind the curtain. We're never doing that again. Stag Knight was the epic out of that, and he was better than the legendary, and he still is. The legendary has been buffed since then, which is Whirlum Frost King, and Whirlum fucking sucks still. He's not very good. He requires too many books to begin with. But anyways, I'm digressing. Segue. Sorry. Stag Knight is amazing. He's going to be one of the best champs for you to take down Hydra and progress through Hydra. His A1, if you start attacking the Head of Decay, and you can slow that Head of Decay down so you can put up a block buffs ability on all the Hydras before like he can cleanse, and you know the head of Head of Blight puts up his poison cloud so you don't get screwed over there. He's going to be great. You want him to do that. He also brings decreased attack and defense like we talked about. You're going to deal more damage to the enemy and receive less damage from the enemy. Okay? This is what we in the big business call a point swing. You see what I'm saying? Big point swing. This is the best. All right, shitty Trump impression. Let's go to our next one. All right, you guys saw these ones coming. There's no surprise here. This is going to be RG Triple OG Royal Guard. He is not as good as the other one on this list, and you'll know who that is if you have anything to do with Hydra. But his A1 Razor Blade, he has a 65% chance to put decreased defense on a target for 2 turns. His ability that he's most known for is this takedown, attacks all enemies, damage increases according to enemy max HP, and it's a mix between attack and enemy max HP. When you're talking about enemy max HP nukers, their damage is capped, so it doesn't matter when you're going against Hydra. All right, no matter how much attack you give them, no matter how much crit damage, there's a certain point of crit damage that you need, and then we'll cover that in a later video. But they're capped out, so you're better off like in Nightmare Hydra, where I run Royal Guards, where I run Husks and whatnot. It's better to just give them, believe it or not, HP percent chest because you want them to survive. All they need to do is get back around to the takedown ability, get back around to, was it Decimate or something on Husk? I can't remember. But that's his big ability he's known for. Now, this is actually a very good ability, and I don't think it's enough credit. Hamstring. Attacks 4 times at random. Each hit has a 60% chance of placing decreased speed, big version, for 2 turns. Each hit also has a 60% chance of decreasing the target's turn meter by 25%. This books up to 75% chance of giving decreased speed, and 75% chance of decreasing the turn meter. Books to a 4-turn cooldown. Now, you cannot decrease the turn meter of the Hydra heads unless you kill the head of... That's right, boys. Mischief. Right? Fuck that guy. He is a pain in the ass, isn't he? But Hamstring can get you out of a lot of situations where we had just talked about Stag Knight being able to put decreased speed on the Head of Decay. Well, you can do it here with Royal Guard. Boom, boom. You got 2 in the same package. You free up a slot in a person, right? We'll see. He also has an increase ally attack in dungeons by 35%. Hydra doesn't count, I don't believe, obviously, as a dungeon, right? It has to be an all battles thing for Hydra. But that's where we are there. Let's go to my favorite, actually. This guy, he was one of, I've said this many times, and I've just lost track over time. He was one of my first epics. He just doesn't get enough love, does he? Where's Hydra? Where are you, Hydra? 4.8. You're fucking right, dude. That should be a 5. Husk is the GOAT. He brings all the things you need. Before the Head of Decay got a nerf to where you can provoke it, Husk was just as good as Royal Guard. Arguably worse, because Royal Guard actually brought decreased speed and decreased defense. Husk doesn't care. He is the biggest shit talker in the schoolyard because of his A1. For first off, he is an HP based champion. His damage is all built on HP. Now with HP and defense based champions, and that's what their damage is based on, that's their survivability. The tankier they are, the more damage they deal. They're bruisers. It's wonderful. It's beautiful. You know what I'm saying? So here we go. Burning Iron attacks an enemy 2 times. Has a 20% chance. That's a 30-40% chance when booked of placing provoke for a turn. For a turn. That is big deal. Right? And if you guys have seen any of my Hydra content, you see the team I run. I go Duchess, Nekmothar, Hugo, one of my Krisks, and 2 RGs. That is my go-to team for every rotation pretty much. And because Krisk puts up taunt on a 3-turn cooldown for 1 turn, and then my husks come in there and they A1 to try and get back, to let Krisk finally be able to get back before there can be a cleanse out with the Head of Decay. It is what it is. They're going to be in my nightmare teams forever. I will show you how many husks I have, and I'm not done. I need 1 more husk to build out. It's crazy. Despair. Attacks all enemies. 35% chance of placing a stun. So it's 40, 50, 60% chance of being a stun. Damage inflicted is proportional to enemy max HP. Now the damage based on is just enemy max HP. You don't need to put any attack or extra HP into this guy. His damage just doesn't go off that. It's just straight up, if you're a big dude, he's going to find you in the schoolyard and he's going to knock your block off. I love Husk. Mwah. Great champion. One of the first I ever had, and I shelved him and I never got rid of him. And there were many times, folks, I was deep in the trenches. I was hard up for resources. And I looked at Husk and I said, I could use him as a chicken. I said, nah, I ain't going to use him as a chicken. I didn't have any reason. I was just like, he was one of my first. Him, Mausoleum Mage, and Delver were the 3 epics I got right off the bat. And I'm happy I held on to him. His A3, Retaliate, attack an enemy, damage increases according to this champion's current HP. So the lower his HP is, the more damage this ability will do. It books to a 3-turn cooldown. When I run the team on auto, I disable this completely. I only want him doing Burning Iron, and I want him doing Despair. That's it. He has an ability that increases the HP in arena battles by 30%. They need to change this. He is not an arena champion at all, whatsoever. I don't know in what world he would be an arena champion, but there you go. I love him. This is my boy. Let's just go look at how many husks I have. Let's see. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's go faction. Let's just skittle wop to do up. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need another one. Why? Because each of my Hydra teams will have 2 husks in it. I'm just pretty much phasing out all my Royal Guards, and I'm only going to use husks. I don't care if the Affinity is a bad matchup. They're better than Royal Guard for the simple fact, to me, this is my personal opinion, that they taunt the Head of Decay, right? Now, this rotation at Hydra that we just slipped into, they probably won't be the best, but I don't care. Them's my boys. I'm going to use them anyways. I love them. And as you can see, I have them in Relentless gear, okay? Relentless gear, Reflex gear. This one was one of them that I was trying for Spider. And then this guy I don't have any gear on. This third one I have Relentless, but this stuff isn't maxed out yet. Does he have his master? He doesn't even have his masteries yet. This one doesn't have full masteries yet either. So they're still a work in progress. Next one is going to be the queen of what she does. I love her to death. And she was amazing when she was first released, and she has only grown in potential. This here, folks, is Hugo, right? Her A1 attacks an enemy, has a 35% chance of placing a leech. The chances increase by 5% for each alive enemy. So when the heads are actually out, you get 5, 10, 15, 20% extra chance. This is like 55% chance to put leech out, right? Maelstrom Rack. This is the ability she is known for. She will attack all enemies. She has a 100% chance of placing decreased defense, big one, for 2 turns. She also has a 75% chance of placing block buffs for 2 turns. The chance of placing the block buffs debuff increases by 5% for each alive enemy. Books to a 3-turn cooldown, okay? So you can roughly get this up to 95% with the 4 heads out, right? You get an extra 20% on the 75% when booked. And then you can make it 100% with the mastery. That gives you an extra 5% to place debuffs that are not, stun, freeze, fear, true fear, all that stuff, okay? This ability is underrated as well. Not a lot of people give it credit. Hugo's Brew removes all heal reduction effects from all allies, then removes a random debuff from all allies, then heals all allies by 20% of this champion's max HP. If all allies are dead, revives them with 50% HP, and then fills their turn meters by 50% instead. Hugo's great. What head did I keep harping on? This heal reduction. That's right, you in the back. Head of Decay. Head of Decay does that. Okay? Hugo's great for this. She's like, fuck that guy. Her passive, Final Spite, places big speed on her and block damage on her for 1 turn whenever the champion's last living ally is killed. I can't actually tell you how many times this happened when Hydra first came out and everybody's like, okay, Hugo's good. Use Hugo. And then my team would get wiped. She'd be the only one alive. And then she'd be like, oh, all right, fuck it, A3. And then revive the whole team. And then boom, we're back at it and we're rumbling, baby. Love it. She has great base speed for an epic. She has very good base HP. And she's got decent base defense. Her resistance is pretty, it's average for an epic. And her accuracy, it might be a little low for an epic. But, it is what it is. She's great. How many do you have, Ope? I got 3. 1 for each Hydra team. Nope, don't want to do that. 1 for each Hydra team, baby. All right, let's go to another one. So if you don't have a Duchess Lila 2, if you do not have a Pythion, if you don't have the Manticore guy from fucking Elves, High Elves, oh my gosh. If you don't have Tatua Rhymehide, right? If you don't have a Duchess, if you don't have all these big players, well, then I have the epic for you that's going to fill that slot until you do get one. And here she is. Rector Draft. She's amazing. I think you can still get her as a starting epic champion if you do whatever promo code when you download Raid. If you can, get her, right? It's between her and Tyrell and a couple other nobody epics that nobody uses anyways. Rector Draft will carry you through the game. A1. Scepter of Authority. Attacks one enemy, 35% chance, 30, 40, 50% chance of placing decreased attack for 2 turns. I don't have my Rector Draft on accuracy. She's all on resistance. I'll show you in a minute. Necro Mutation. Heals all allies by 20%. The heal goes up and the cooldown goes to 4 turns. 20% of this champion's max HP. After healing, places Perfect Veil on everybody who has full HP. And then gives people who don't continuous heal for 1 turn instead, right, if they're under 100. This is kind of like the poor man's version of Duchess and Elva, Pythion, stuff like that, right? Pythion doesn't bring Perfect Veil, but Pythion does like a damage reduction like Duchess, so something to think about. This is what I call the poor man's version, obviously, I just said it, of Duchess, okay? I had 1 Duchess, and I had a Rector Draft, and those were my 2 main teams that I would use for Hydra. Then I got another Duchess, I got lucky, right? So now I got 2 Duchesses and a Rector Draft, right? So that's generally what I use now. Except on my 3rd team, I don't use Rector Draft anymore. She's really just been benched to my Faction Wars team. But that just means I have better legendary champions than I need for her right now, right? It just is what it is. And you too will get to that spot in the game. If you keep playing the game, you're gonna be like, oh well, you're gonna be like what's that kid's name from Toy Story? Andy. You're gonna be like Andy, be like, oh, I won't play with you anymore. And you're fucking throw your Rector Draft down, and you have your Duchess Lilitude. You're gonna be hopping around. This is what it is. But I love him. I love her. She's built fast, very good HP, and she has very good resistance. Her A3 is Spirit Form. Books to a 4-turn cooldown. Will revive a single ally. 60% HP, and fills their turn meter by 60%, and gives them a perfect veil for 3 turns. Oh, sorry, boys. That's alright. Master of Ghosts. Whenever an ally under a Veil or Perfect Veil buff gets a turn, heals them by 10% of their max HP, and also increases the resistance of allies under Veil or Perfect Veil buff by 50. If there's, it only works for one Rector Draft. If you have like 2 on there, it doesn't give them 100 extra resistance. She has a Team Aura here. Increase all resistance in Doom Tower battles by 55. It's very good. Rector Draft is great. Period. This passive actually even sometimes makes her better than Duchess and or Python and whatnot in certain situations. I had used her, and I think that was with my Duchess when I fought the Eternal Dragon for the first couple rotations of it, because I just didn't have a team really figured out yet. And then we went to Hydra, and then she's just in Faction Wars now. But Rector Draft is great. I'm going to try and speed this up. I'm sorry, guys. Let's go to the next one. Everybody should know this guy. He is king of kings when it comes to epics. Arguably the best epic in the game because he contends with all bosses. He doesn't give a damn. He's like, you and I, we're going to go toe to toe. You know, it's like that Spider-Man meme where they're just both pointing at each other. Because I'll show you why here. Geomancer. He's an attack-based epic champion. His A1 has a 40% chance of placing big decrease accuracy on them for 2 turns. Very good A1. It's an AoE as well, right? His A2 is very good, Creeping Petrify. Books to a 3-turn cooldown. Oh, sorry, boys. Removes all buffs from a target enemy, then attacks them. Steals all buffs instead if they're under HP burn placed by him. Reduces the cooldown of Quicksand Grasp by 2 turns if the target is killed by this skill while under an HP burn placed by him. For Hydra, you bring him in for his A3 here. Quicksand Grasp. Fully depletes target's turn meter. Ain't gonna happen. Closes champion's turn meter by the amount the target loses. Ain't gonna happen. 100% chance when booked with a 3-turn cooldown of placing HP burn and big weaken on them for 3 turns. So what you do with Geomancer is you bring him in when there's a Head of Wrath that is your starting lineup. Okay. I did that for this last rotation because I was having a hard time with a consistent auto team running that difficulty on Nightmare. Okay. I ran 2 HP nukers. I ran Geomancer, Hugo, Krisk, and Duchess. I didn't bring in Necmo Thar, sadly. This makes it, from his passive here, Stone Guard. Decreases damage all allies receive by 15% and deflects the damage onto each enemy under HP burn, placed by this champion. If there are multiple champions on the team with this skill, only one will activate. Whenever this champion is attacked, it deflects 30% of the damage instead. When deflecting damage on each enemy hit, has a 30% chance of dealing additional damage equal to 3% of the target's max HP. Okay, all that to say is he puts fire on people, and when they hit him or his teammates, he says, no, you. To the tune of 30%. Make sense? So when the Head of Wrath is out there, you put that on the Head of Wrath. You put this A3 on him, and then you keep the Head of Decay taunted, and make sure that you keep proccing that Head of Wrath to deal more damage. So what I like to do is I'll put Quicksand Grasp on Head of Wrath, I'll taunt Head of Decay, and then I will attack Head of Wrath to get him to his Vengeance proc, because that's where he deals the most damage. And you can get real lucky if you have a very speed-tuned team where your Geomancer can start lapping, or you have the debuff extension for his HP burn from Masteries. You can be like Head of Wrath, alright, now Head of Mischief, alright, Head of Torment. It's usually Head of Torment the one I go after, but you see what I'm saying. Geomancer is amazing. He also has an aura that actually works in Hydra. Increases ally HP in all battles by 25%. That's nothing to, flick your nose at, you know what I'm saying? I love him. I also have 3 of him built for Hydra. Okay. Next one is going to be from the new faction, and he's a very good Hydra bait tank, and he was a guaranteed champion not too long ago. This is Do It in the Runic. Essentially, you build him with high resistance, you make him just slow enough as your slowest person on your team, and it's because of his A3 here. Lure of Fools places a taunt on this champion for a turn, also places 25% strength and counterattack on him for 2 turns. He'll come in, He'll attack an enemy. He has a 60% chance of removing a random debuff from all allies when he does this. It's a very consistent thing. Like, I have Krisks, plural. I have 2. They are my Hydra bait tanks. And then I usually use Ultimate Death Knight on my 3rd team for hard. Okay? I'm working on bringing that Ultimate Death Knight out and kind of putting Duodin in. Okay? His A2, Protector Effigy, attacks all enemies, will place a shield on all allies for 2 turns, equal to 50% of his max HP, and also increases the duration of all buffs on all allies by 1 turn. Buff extension is very good. Now, the only place I don't like on this guy is here. He has a increase all ally defense in battles by 20%, but he is a HP champion. I think this should have been HP. Bit of a kind of a flavorful misstep, if you will. But I love doing it. I'm really going to start implementing him soon. Next one is a guy who was one of my first epics. Mausoleum Mage. This guy is the tits. Even when he came out, right when I started the game is like right when he came out. And people are like, this guy's pretty good, and I didn't know what to do with him. His A1 books up to a 50% chance of giving big decreased speed. Don't rely on that. You don't care about that. He's not going to be built with accuracy. You're going to build him with resistance. Might of Undeath. 3-turn cooldown when booked, places increased crit rate, increased defense, and also gives block debuffs on all allies. So 2 turns for the first 2 buffs and 1 turn for the last one. Okay? And he has this Winds of Purging, books to a 4-turn cooldown, and this can be a very big heal, guys. Removes all debuffs from all allies, then heals all allies by 10% of this champion's max HP. So you're going to give him a lot of HP. But also heals them by 10% if 1 or more debuffs are removed from that ally, fills each ally's turn meter by 15% if 2 or more debuffs are removed from that ally. And he's got very good base speed. I mean, I love this guy. I love Mausoleum Mage. Right now, mine, I'm not even using anywhere. I was using him in Doom Tower Hard when it first came out because he was my, cleanse, block debuffs kind of guy. But I've gotten better champs since. That's just how it is. Next one, right? So if you're having problems with the Head of Torment, this is going to be your guy right here. Who am I going to? You heard him. It's the OG, triple OG, Inquisitor Shamel. Or Shamael, or Shamel. His A1, Wreak Revenge. Now, this guy, he loves to, kind of read. He's, 7, 10 books for an epic. He only has 2 abilities. Attacks an enemy, has a 60-75% chance of decreasing the duration of a random buff on the target by a turn. This does come into play on Hydra. Every time an enemy places a debuff on an ally, he will use this skill against that enemy. These counterattacks will only deal 50% of the normal damage, and they cannot be critical. If there are multiple champions in the team with this skill, only one will activate with a counterattack. His A2, Cowl of the Horrors. This can hit very, very hard. Attacks one enemy 3 times, will ignore 25% of the target's defense, will ignore a further 25% of the target's defense for each buff on this champion. He will place True Fear debuff on all enemies for 1 turn if this attack kills an enemy. Shamel was used in Arena for quite a while. I don't know if he is anymore. And his passive right here, Head of Torment, cannot touch this guy. Each critical hit fills this champion's turn meter by 7.5%. Whenever an ally receives Fear or True Fear, Head of Torment, this skill will instantly remove the debuff and fill the ally's turn meter by 15%. Now, there's a bit of a weird thing that happens here where he will only fill the lead champion's turn meter, if I remember right. It's weird. I don't know why. So you don't have to worry about fears. You bring him in, you make him very tanky, give him 100% crit rate, and you just want him to survive and help put out a little bit of extra damage. He will make sure no fears ever happen to your team. It's very good. He also has this, increases ally action in Doom Tower by 60. Okay, I love Shamel. 101 base speed, very decent. Okay, he's an attack champion. And last but not least, there are a ton of epic champions I could talk your ear off about, but I do love this guy and I used him for a while. And this is Aox, the Rememberer. The Rememberer. It's Aox. Aox is from the Lizardmen faction. His A1 is a Feathered Staff. This is going to be a 30% chance of placing a 5% poison debuff for 2 turns, and he attacks twice. Right here, Lore of Restoration books to a 3 turn. attacks an enemy, heals all allies by 10% of their max HP, and then heals each ally by an extra 2.5 for each debuff on the target. Right? You get an extra 25% healing because you have 10 debuffs on the target. It's very nice. Right here, Weight of Eons. Books 2 or 3 turn cooldown. This is 50, 60, 75% chance. Or I'm sorry, it's 100% chance of happening. He places decreased attack debuff on all allies for 2 turns. He just does that. But then, if you don't book him out, it's a 75% chance for decreased crit rate. But if you book him out, it's a 100% chance for decreased crit rate as well. But he places decreased attack, 75% chance of decreasing each target's turn meter by 20%, books out to 100. He will then place decreased crit rate debuff on the target for 2 turns if they have 50% or turn meter after the turn meter decrease. So I misspoke there. I apologize. It's getting late for me. Aox is great. Right here, Steward of Time. Increases the duration of 2 random debuffs on the attacker by 1 turn when attack occurs once per hit. You can team him up with Geomancer, and he can get lucky, and he can keep increasing the HP burn debuff from Geomancer on the target. It's great. Okay, and he has this right here. Another increases accuracy in Doom Tower battles by 60. He's not as fast as I'd like him to be. He's under 100, but he's great. He's a wonderful support. But guys, that is it. This is the 10 epic champions that are going to help you progress in Hydra and help you overcome that bitch. I want you to have a wonderful day. Have a good weekend. I'll try and put out another video tomorrow. Love you. God bless and goodbye.